nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and begin this morning. Welcome. Commissioner Cook, who is the chair, is ill this morning, so I am filling in for him as vice chair. I have the privilege of serving as vice chair, so good morning,
Morning.
Commissioner Archer, and
Morning.
morning, everybody, and I'll have to get back in the routine of things. So, Madam Clerk, first item, please.
First item is item 3, consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer. I did want to note, it's sitting under here, this fiscal conditions and trends by Shawnee County. It's actually item 5 on the consent agenda. It's very helpful. It's another valuable tool that the K-State Research and Extension and Shawnee County Research and Extension puts out, and I wanted to make sure that we thank them for this information going into budget. I'll second the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries 2-0.
Item 4, new business. A, county clerk. Number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Vouchers are totaling $1,106,436.05. And of those, the holding accounts, most with the Kansas Department of Revenue, $471,550.12. Blue Cross and MedTrack for health insurance, $238,117.76. And then also Horizon Health with the detention facility, $161,175.81. And I have no questions. I will move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries 2-0.
Consider correction orders.
Motion to approve the correction orders as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries.
Item B, health agency. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-144-2015 with Patricia Donovan, registered dietitian, to provide dietitian services as needed in the special supplemental nutrition program of the WIC program at a cost of $28 per hour and funded by the WIC grant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Agency. This contract we're bringing you today is with a dietitian, Pat Donovan, who helps us out when we have dietitians on vacation or ill so that we can keep up with appointments that we have. And so she is licensed and registered, and the entire cost of her work is covered by the WIC grant. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Linda. Questions, Commissioner?
No.
I'll move approval of the contract.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Number 2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-145-2015, amendment number 2 to contract C-324-2013 with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, providing for continued funding of $360,000 for the Bright Beginnings, Healthy Futures Nurse Family Partnership Program, and $360,000 for the Kansas Children's Service League Healthy Families Topeka Program, with matching funds provided by the Early Childhood Block Grant.
Morning, Commissioners. Allison Alejos, Health Agency. This is a request to approve the amendment number 2 to our agreement with Kansas Department of Health and Environment. This is the contract that allows us to do some of our Nurse Family Partnership Program work. We also have dollars that we are able to match with our Early Childhood Block Grant that come in to increase the total amount that we can put into those programs, not only at our agency but within Kansas Children's Service League. They do a Healthy Families Topeka program. So we are all providing services, intensive home visitation services to at-risk first-time pregnant and parenting families. All the services are voluntary, and we've got some very good outcomes in the programs that we are providing at the health agency. And I would be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Thanks, Allison. Go ahead.
Please. You had mentioned specific outcomes that we.
Yes.
What are some of those, Allison, so the community knows?
Certainly. Just a selection of outcomes that we have is listed in the memo that I've submitted. You can see that 95% of our children that are served have a medical home identified. 96% of children are up to date on their Can Be Healthy. They do an assessment to make sure that children are healthy at any given point in time. They also have 98% of our children are up to date with their immunizations. We have 95% of children enrolled in health insurance programs, and 98% are served, receive a developmental screening so that we can offset any kind of issues that may be present with children unidentified.
Okay. Thank you. A lot of times people don't read
Sure, sure.
our agenda, so I think it's always good to point out successes and outcomes and results to the community to make sure they understand that. So, thank you, Madam
Thank
Chair.
I know Diane Creek has also done a lot of work in
She
this
has,
as well.
she
She's
has.
not here today, is she?
She's not. And again, we've said this time and time again, but the Nurse Family Partnership Program, we're the first program in the state of Kansas, and this is a very research-based program. There's lots of good outcomes that occur not only with infants and young families, but as they go into adolescence and forward. So we're very proud of the program.
Motion to approve contract amendment number 2.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer. I will second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 2-0.
Number 3, consider authorization and execution of contract C-146-2015 with the Southeast Kansas Education Service Center, allowing the health agency to access categorical aid from the Department of Education through the Southeast Kansas Education Service Center, which functions for special education purposes as a school district and allows the health agency to provide in-home nursing services to developmentally delayed infants and toddlers from birth to age 3.
Again, as it was just stated, we're asking approval to renew this agreement with the Southeast Kansas Education Center. We were able to access categorical funds that we then use to help serve those developmentally delayed children that are referred to us from TARC. So there's a KDHE grant that comes in to help support our efforts, along with this funding and Medicaid revenues to help offset the cost to provide those services.
Thank you, Allison. Move approval of the contract.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioners.
Allison.
Item C, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to purchase various equipment and supplies to include additional working batteries, radio chargers, and belt clips to support the recent radio upgrade at an estimated cost of $8,500.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. Before you today is a request to purchase additional supplies and equipment we need with the recent radio change. Earlier, and as an ongoing project, the Department of Corrections was one of the public safety agencies that was involved with the transfer over to the 800 megahertz radios. We were very grateful that the Sheriff's Office was able to give us their radios that we're using, but unfortunately there were some that some of the batteries weren't working. We didn't have enough of the items that we needed to make sure that our staff was fully equipped with the adequate staff they need for safety and security. I did meet with Betty regarding this, regarding the funding source, and we both felt that the contingency account was probably the best for this. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Brian. Are there questions?
Motion to approve.
This motion to approve by Commissioner Archer. Second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you.
Number 2, consider approval of a request to develop specifications and solicit bids for noise reduction panels in the Juvenile Detention Center's gymnasium at a cost not to exceed $15,000 and paid for by the Juvenile Justice Authority's Juvenile Detention Facility Grant Funding.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eve Kendall, Department of Corrections. Before you have a memorandum asking if we can go forward with soliciting vendors for the sound reduction in our gym. We're just hoping that by doing this, we'll be able to use the gym a little bit more often and actually be more beneficial in using our space that we have for more programming for the juveniles. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Eve. Any question?
Yeah, Eve, what additional programming do you envision
Well-
these being able to accomplish?
So by putting some sound, I wouldn't say soundproofing, but some sound deadening, we're hoping that we'll be able to have speakers maybe come in and talk to the juveniles. Right now, that's our biggest space that we have, and without having adequate space, we're really limited as far as having people coming in and doing different projects or even speaking to the youth and trying to get them to better themselves and understand that there are different ways to go about things other than what they currently do. With that space, we're hoping that we can get some people that come in, do some different motivational speaking and different groups that come in and do some things that like they do in the gyms and stuff at grade schools also. But this will we'll be able to have a bigger space to be able to do some of these things.
And this is grant funded?
Yes, sir. No money will come out of our budget. It's actually coming through the state.
And would you tell us a little bit about the initiative and the grant funding that we get? Just to remind the public of what happens.
Yes, sir. We receive, well, we're part of the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative, and part of that is trying to figure out better ways to to get juveniles other places other than detention. Sometimes kids make mistakes, and they don't necessarily need to be in detention. They need to maybe be somewhere else to be reintegrated back into the community, to learn better things, and to possibly learn from their mistakes in a different way other than becoming into our system, because they find that once someone comes into the correctional system, it's hard to get back out. So if they can get some of the youth that are have minor offenses, truancy and different things like that, that if they can do different things with them other than bringing them into detention, they have a more successful outcome as far as getting them out and making them productive in the community.
I've always thought this was a good investment
Yes, sir.
for our money, and so I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Archer. I will second the motion. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 2-0.
Number 3, consider approval of request to purchase one replacement HVAC rooftop unit at a cost of $166,646.
Commissioners, again, a memorandum in front of you. We have 6 big units. We've replaced 4 of them so far in this in our strategic plan. We have 2 left. We're hoping to do 1 this year, and then hopefully the last one next year. We have a contract with McElroy's, who has done very good work for us. We're very pleased, and this is just a continuation. We have talked to Ms. Greiner and about our capital improvement plan and if funds are available, and so far we think there is, so we'd like to move forward.
Thank you. I do have a question for Betty. As far as the, we budgeted for capital outlay $1 million?
Yes, we
What is
budgeted
our
$1 million,
balance?
and we do have a commitment that we have made for the ITV block, the virtualization platform. That is I believe it's $312,000. So we have made that commitment. I have it here. If I can find it, of course. So we have approximately, here we go. No. So we have approximately 650,000 left in that fund that's allocated for this year.
That has not been committed.
That has not been committed, right.
And this was a priority 1, correct?
Yes,
On
and
the
this is something that
category.
we have been working together on, and, you know, we knew that these 6 units were going to have to be replaced, so we've been trying to space them out over a 4-year period of time. And so this is right in line with what we had planned
Good.
for these replacements.
Yeah, these are the original units when back in 1998. Their expected lifespan is 10 years. Their expected lifespan is 10 years, and we've gone beyond that, so
Okay.
they're working, but, you know.
You never know. I'll move approval of the request.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Bueller and second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of request to award the bid for lease of ice machines to Ice Masters and consider contracts C-147, 2015 through C-165, 2015 with Ice Masters for lease of 13 seasonal ice machines and 6 year-round ice machines at a yearly cost of $12,305 per year for 3 years for all.
Commissioners, John Knight, Parks and Recreation. With the help of the purchasing department, we solicited bids for ice machines. Several of them we only need seasonally, but a couple of them we have these ice machines on a year-round basis. The vast majority of these are at our concession stands or our community centers in which we use them for programming, filling water jugs, selling sodas, those type of things. So that cost is factored into our total cost, which then we recover through user fees. There are a couple of them on here, both our Gage Park maintenance shop and our Lake Shawnee maintenance shop, which we have those there for employees. Assuming that we're going to have another stretch of 100-degree weather and stuff like that, it's a safety factor and thing for our employees. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Thank you, John. Are there questions?
Motion to approve.
This motion to approve by Commissioner Archer. I'll second the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
John.
Item E, Audit Finance. Number 1, update on expenditures and revenues.
Good morning, Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. I'm here to give you the financial overview as of March 31, 2015. I'll start out, as I usually do, by saying this is a snapshot view as of March 31. And what I will go over the revenue section of our financials and then the expenditure side. I'll start with the revenues. And this is our total year-to-date revenue. As you can see, the total that we've received through March 31 is $48,395,000 compared to what I had budgeted of $47,969,000. And then I've also have here the prior year through March 31, and that was $47,816,000. This chart here shows you the different categories of revenue. The largest one, as you can see, is property taxes, followed by other taxes. Then that little slim green line is property-related fees. The purple line is charges for services, and in the top, the light blue, is miscellaneous revenue. On this, our budget variance, the difference between what we've actually received and the budgeted amount, is a total of $426,000. That is less than half of 1%. It's actually 0.43%. So, when we're looking at this and comparing, I would say that is right in line with budget. So I'll look at each category individually. Our next category is property taxes. And if we look at that, so far year to date, we've received $41,472,000 compared to a budget of $41,173,000. So our budget variance year to date is $299,000. And this is encouraging because we did have a tax distribution in March, so this should be pretty much all of our first half taxes. And the variance of almost $300,000, may indicate that maybe again we're showing a reduction in our delinquent tax rate. We'll have to just watch that throughout the year and see, but it's encouraging to see that. When we look at that compared to our total taxes that I've estimated we would receive of $72 million, that again is less than 0.5%. It's 0.4%. The next category is other tax revenue. This one, we've received $3,159,000 compared to a budget of $3,157,000. So we are right on budget. The variance is $1,262. So as you can see, we are right on budget with that one. The next category is property-related fees. We've received $544,000 compared to a budget of $380,000, which is $164,000 over budget. And most of that difference came in the month of March. We received mortgage registration fees in March of $145,000 more than I had budgeted. Now, you know, we'll have to wait and see. That could just be a timing issue. You know, we had a very mild winter. So it could be a timing issue that you know, home purchases happened earlier this year. There again, we'll just wait and watch that. The next category is charges for services. Here again, we're just right on budget. We've received $1,205,000 compared to a budget of $1,134,000. So $70,000 difference. So there again, like I say, we're just right on budget there. The last category, revenue category, is other revenue. We have received $2,013,000 compared to a budget of $2,122,000. So we are $120,000 under budget in this category. And there really is not one specific area. It's just kind of spread throughout the county. You know, this is kind of the general other revenue of anything. And a lot of times there again, this can just be timing issues. You know, what we received this year may be a little bit different timing than last year. And so not a large variance, but something we'll just watch throughout the year. What I will point out is if you look at the prior year to date on this, it was $2,545,000. So our variance from last year is a negative $531,000. So we've received $531,000 less this year than last year. The majority of that is from the Parks and Rec merger. You know, that was set up so that we receive, you know, $1 million less each year. So $500,000 of that was budgeted for that first half of the year. So that is our variance there. Now, this just shows our revenue in just how it's made up. And you can see that 86% of all of our revenue year to date has come from property taxes. The next highest category is other taxes, which is 7%. And then we have property-related fees is 1%, charges for services 2%, and miscellaneous revenues 4%. Sometimes I think this pie chart just kind of is an easy way to really see how our revenue is broken down between the categories. Okay, we will go on to our expenditures. This is the total year-to-date expenditures. You can see that year-to-date we have spent, or we've had expenditures of $24,689,000 compared to our budget of $25,475,000. That total variance is $785,000. We have spent less than we had budgeted. But there again, when we look at it compared to the total budget, that is less than 1%. It is 0.8%. So, you know, less than 1% variance is considered right on budget. This also shows the different categories of our expenditures. The one here at the bottom, the blue, is public safety, followed by public health, administrative services, public works, parks and rec, and then debt service. And I'll take each of those categories individually too. The first one is our public safety expenditures. Those are $10,491,000 compared to a budget of $11,048,000. So, in our public safety category, we are actually under budget of $557,000. And there again, not one specific area. Most of that is in Sheriff or Department of Corrections, but those are also the larger departments. So, you know, their variance is 1.3%, so there again, not a large variance. It could be timing issues. We'll just, you know, watch that. If they, you know, if they paid for one thing in March this year and April last year, then that could account for those variances. Whoops, wrong way. There. Public health is our next category. We've spent $3,595,000 year to date compared to our budget of $3,614,000. So that is just $18,000 difference, so right on budget. Administrative services, we have spent $3,481,000 compared to budget of $3,572,000. That is $90,000 under budget, but there again, it's under 1%. It's 0.8% variance. Public Works is our next category. We've spent $2,398,000 compared to our budget of $2,459,000, so a $61,000 variance. That we talked in last month that, you know, in Public Works we had a very mild winter, and that they had less expense because of that mild winter. If you look at, I said our variance to budget was $61,000. If you look, our variance from last year is $76,000. So there again, I think that shows that most of that is contributable just to the weather, the mild weather that we had this winter. Okay, the next area is Parks, Recreation, and Expo Center. We have spent $3,584,000 compared to a budget of $3,641,000. So we are $57,000 under budget. So there again, right on budget. And then the last category is our debt service. We have spent $1,138,000, which of course that is right as budgeted because we, you know, knew what that would be. If you compare it to last year, it is $153,000 less than last year, and that is due to debt that was paid off and also debt that was reduced because of the refinancing we did. Okay, so this just gives you kind of an idea of putting these categories together so you can kind of see the difference in them. You can see here the public safety category makes up about 3 times more than the next closest category. And you can also see by this that the debt service category is by far our lowest category. This is just another way of looking at that same data. For our year-to-date expenditures, 42% of it has gone to public safety. The next highest category is public health with 15%, administrative services with 14%, public works with 10%, Parks and Recreation and Expo Center 14%, and debt 5%. And I will stand for any questions. Thank you, Betty.
Questions,
No.
Commissioner Archer?
No.
Okay. As always, Betty, thank you so much for providing this not only to us, to the department directors, but to the public as well. And I think sometimes I know I, as a commissioner, take for granted this monthly report. It's only been about 3 or 4 years that we've actually been doing a monthly report on finances, so, and it's evolved, and,
Yes.
and so it's become even more helpful. And we're not just talking about budget in the summertime, so thank you.
Administrative communications.
Administrative communications?
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Agency. I wanted to update you on a couple things with the WIC program. You might remember when we had the Board of Health meeting in January, I talked about the next day scheduling that we were going to start with the WIC program, and we started that April 1st, and so we're very early into it. And I'm happy to report that we're looking back at appointments we had in January. Those are the folks who should be calling now for their appointment. 70% of them have called to make an appointment. So I think that's an incredible rate. I think our staff has done a great job of educating folks about when to call and when to come in. So we're very pleased with how it's going. And I also looked at one day I looked at the no-show and reschedule rate, and it's dropped 10% already. So I feel like we're off to a great start, and we'll give you some more updates as we get farther into it. The other thing I want to tell you about is that last week, the United States Department of Agriculture sent some staff people to do a federal management evaluation. This is our first federal management evaluation. We do have state evaluations every 2 years, and I'm happy to report that it was an outstanding evaluation. Some of their comments were that we have an outstanding breastfeeding support program and breastfeeding peer counselor program. The appointments they observed were very good. The nutrition education was excellent. They spoke with several clients who really praised the program, how helpful it is and how much the staff helps them, and that they did some chart reviews and could find no problems with the charts. So I'm very, very proud of the staff. They've done an excellent job. Our state director was here for the exit interview, and he's also very pleased. So that's all.
Very
Thank you.
good. Thank you, Linda. Anyone else? Brian, do you want to mention volunteer appreciation? Well, Director Cole's walking up here. I did have the opportunity to attend the volunteer appreciation banquet. You and your staff did an excellent job, and we so appreciate all the countless hours that the volunteers put in at the detention
Well, thank you.
facility.
Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. Each year that we try to do our best to recognize and give thanks to our volunteers who do an incredible job giving up their personal time to come and serve a much-needed population. You know, I think some of the comments that were made at the banquet, you know, that when you're dealing with inmates and offenders, that a lot of times our volunteers, they're working with a group of people that a lot of people don't like, and a lot of people that don't want to come in and help that group of people that are incarcerated. And our volunteers, they do it. They come in, they spend, I think we have 116 volunteers who put in almost 400 hours individually a month. It's incredible, from education, spiritual work, better ways to make decisions, drug and alcohol abuse, and mental health, you name it, across the board, they're there. We're very blessed to have the volunteers we do in this community. I can't thank them enough for what they do. They truly make our department successful, and on top of that, when people talk about safety and security, that goes right along with it, because when the inmates are going to programs, they're learning, being able to get out, get meaningful employment, get past some of the challenges that may have led them to jail. They have about a 70% chance of not reoffending. So, and that's what studies are showing. So, thank you, and it was a good, excellent program.
And our thanks to the Honorable Judge Miller, who was the keynote speaker.
Yes.
Yes, and he did an excellent job.
He did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything, Commissioner Archer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say to Commissioner Cook, get well soon. There goes the perfect attendance award down the drain. I'd also like to recognize Tony Mativi. I read in the Capital Journal that he had received the Distinguished Civilian Service Award from the Secretary of Defense. This is a really big deal, and I'm proud that he's in our community, and I wanted to say congratulations to Tony. So that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I express to Commissioner Cook, if he's watching or listening, yes, get well soon, and you did an excellent job on the State of the County address on Thursday, and the county was well represented. And also appreciated Mayor Woolgast's comments, and the city and the county will continue to work together for our community. And perhaps we might wait till Thursday when Commissioner Cook is here to have discussion about the plaque and the excellent story that was written and is featured in today's paper, so I'll make a note of that. I did want to bring to your attention, I had a great time on Saturday morning at a youth leadership conference, and it was sponsored by the Military Order of World Wars, and they held the conference for 12 young people who were there on a Saturday morning. They're sponsoring this leadership conference. It was this Saturday and then next Saturday. And so Colonel John Bursaw is the one who's the director. If you have a chance, Tim, make a trip out there. It was well worth it. And I stayed for lunch because I really wanted to hear the speaker, Jim Friel, who was a veteran of World War II and survived Iwo Jima. And he had lots of really good stories. And 92 years old, and he was sharp as a tack, so it was really good. So I appreciate them inviting me, and I believe Commissioner Cook is going as in his attorney role next weekend. So what else is there? It's a busy week. We also have Thursday morning, I believe the Auburn-Washburn Public Schools Foundation is hosting their breakfast, and planning on attending at the Topeka Civic Theater. So lots going on. I think that's all I have. Everything's crossed off. Next item, please.
Executive sessions.
I don't believe there's a need, so we are adjourned. Thank you.
Anything for me to sign?
Let me check.